Hi, I'm Tom Mower. Many of you know me as Tom Junior. I'm the Chief Science Officer and the CEO of Sisel International. And boy, I'll tell you what a great position for me to be in and watch the growth that we have in the company. One of the greatest products that we have is our SiselKAFFÉ. And today I wanted to take just a moment and talk about what makes it so unique and what makes it such a standout in the world. Every street corner around there has a coffee stand on it. People around the world are consuming 2.5 billion cups of coffee every day. And with all these choices, why would they pick Sisel? As many of you know, our story begins with research. Decades ago, my father and I, on our family farm, we looked at the differences in our gardens. Why is something more nutritious? Why does something taste better? And we found that it's the unique ingredients in those fruits and vegetables that we would raise that made it superior. This is the exact concept that we have with SiselKAFFÉ. How do we make the very best tasting cup of coffee? Well, we use the very best ingredients. We use the latest science. We research the research. And this is something that my father showed me 40 years ago. And obviously, I've, since that point, brought out thousands of different products. And I find it fascinating from a historical perspective as I dive into these ingredients to see what people traditionally used to support better health, better cognitive function, increase their immune system. And so SiselKAFFÉ starts with research of ingredients. Years ago, I found an ingredient called Chaga, and as many of you have heard us talk about Chaga, it grows in the most northern regions of the hemisphere, in Canada and Russia, Siberia, and local people had used this ingredient with great success when they had an illness or a sickness, and the stories are fascinating. Since that point, science has validated in so many areas why this is so powerful. One thing that really fascinated me, if you go back 20 years ago, people were looking for the greatest antioxidants. Aubrey de Grey, he is a very well worldwide known scientist who said that aging and disease is really affected by our body's ability to fight free radical damage, and antioxidants were key to that. And so with this concept in mind, I was on search for something that had very powerful antioxidant research into it. And Chaga, through folklore, but through modern science, showed that it had the highest ORAC value out there. It could neutralize free radical damage to our bodies. Looking into it further, we had to find, where is it the most potent? Where do we find the best source? And we found it in these northern areas. It grows on a birch tree. And we found people who would commercially harvest that for us. Now, the nice thing about Chaga, it's virtually odorless, tasteless, and you can mix it with about anything. With this in mind, we thought, what is the vehicle that we would put this in? Would it be a powder? Would it be a capsule, a tablet? How would people consume it? And in doing research, we found that there are 2.5 billion cups of coffee served every single day. So many people in the world get up every morning and they think, I've got to get going. I better have a cup of coffee. And that after that cup of coffee, obviously it warms their body and it has caffeine in it and it gets their circulation going. How could we make that a nutritional beverage that would do so much more? It would give people what they're looking for. So we infused it with Chaga to bring up the ORAC value, to help support a healthy immune system. Now, a term I'm going to talk about right now is adaptogenic. And you'll hear us talk about that. And really it boils down to an adaptogenic ingredient helps us both mentally and physically. It helps us to fight those things that our bodies come in contact with. Chaga is adaptogenic, but there's also other key ingredients that are very adaptogenic that have great science. One of those today I want to talk about is Ganoderma lucidum. Now, there's over 80 varieties. Back in the 1880s, they found out that Ganoderma mushroom was very powerful, and you'll find that in other products. But there's one variety, the Lucidium variety, that stands out because it is a fatigue fighter. When we drink coffee, we're drinking it not because we want to go to bed, it's because we want to wake up. We want to feel invigorated. This was the perfect ingredient to add also into our SiselKAFFÉ. It's a fatigue fighter, but it does so much more. There's science looking at, does it remove lactic acid buildup in muscles so we have more stamina? Well, it's very promising. Is this a pre-workout drink? SiselKAFFÉ is so much more than coffee. But many times we drink coffee because we want to invigorate our brain. So we have put Bacopa into that. And many people out there know that there's so many studies in cognitive function and memory and recall. And so Bacopa is also put into this ingredient, Gotu Kola. Gotu Kola not only helps with cognitive function, but it helps increase collagen production and support that as a nutrient. SiselKAFFÉ is the perfect drink to start every day with. It has what people have looked for hundreds of years in coffee, not just caffeine, but to be truly sizzle safe, we had to do more. Not only make it the healthiest cup of coffee, but we needed to process it differently. Because as we cook foods, bacon, cakes, different things, and things brown, acrylamides form in those foods. And we know acrylamides can be cancer-causing ingredients. If we look at traditionally how coffee is roasted, they use a flame roaster. And, just if you ever had a barbecue and you barbecue things and flames shoot up and they go down, you're trying to get the perfect temperature and you're putting thermometers in your fruit or your vegetables and different things that you're barbecuing, trying to get it just right. Infrared is the way to go because we can, on a computer screen, watch it degree by degree to make sure we get the perfect roast so we get the right flavor, but to make sure we don't get any spikes and produce more acrylamides in our coffee. Now, recently, Best Network Magazine rated SiselKAFFÉ as, in the world, number 4. But what they haven't looked at are the ingredients in SiselKAFFÉ. SiselKAFFÉ is number 1. And those of you who are drinking that every single day like I do, you feel invigorated, you feel better. But look at what you don't look at. The nutritional support that you're getting in your immune system and so much more. It's the perfect drink to start with every single day. I hope you share this message with so many people. They're waking up every day. They want the perfect cup of coffee. One thing I need to talk about too is, where do we get our coffee from? Panama. Every single year, the Panama region produces, as far as flavor, the best coffee bean out there in the world. This is the base, the perfect vehicle to blend these ingredients in to support your health. Thank you.